Okay, I think we're recording right now. Good morning, kids. Today we're going to do the Bio-Hazard logo using some tools in Adobe Illustrator to help you do this quickly and professionally. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to do a new file. We're going to make this a letter size, so I'm going to go to print, choose letter, and it's in portrait orientation. That's okay. We're going to go to file place, Shift Command P is the shortcut, and we're looking for a reference for the Bio-Hazard. So I'm going to click Bio-Hazard TIFF right there, hit place, and I can click and drag to make it whatever size I want. That'll be okay. And I'm going to double click inside my layers panel right over the icon there, and I'm going to make it a template which will lock it down, and it will also disable the print. So if I went to print Command P, you can see that there's nothing there. Alright, so what I need to do in my layers panel, I'm going to make a brand new layer to draw on. I'm going to zoom up a little bit, and I'm going to, using the pen tool, I'm going to draw half of this object that looks a little bit like a whale tail or fish tail, something like that. And I'm just going to draw up a little bit here. I'm going to hold Option to change the direction of my curve. We're going to delete that. I had too many things going on here. Right here, I'm going to hold Option, drag it down, drag one more line out this way. I'm also going to change my fill to none just to make it easier to draw. I'm going to hold Option here, click back this way, and go back to the center. You can see I have Smart Guides on, so that little line that shows up there shows that it's more or less lined up. I'm going to hold the Option key and click off of this. I'm going to select my white arrow or hollow arrow, and I'm going to go back into here, and I'm going to adjust these lines. You can select in the middle of a path to adjust both, or if you need to do some further adjustment, you can grab each handle and adjust this accordingly. And that looks pretty good. Now what I want to do is I want to reflect that and then join it together. So I'm going to click on the rotate tool, click and hold, change it to the reflect tool. If I double click this, as long as I have my entire object selected, make sure that the entire object selected, I'm going to double click my reflect tool. If I hit preview, you can see that this reflected it on its vertical axis. Well, I'm going to make a copy with the black arrow selection tool. I'm going to click and drag. I'm holding the shift key that keeps it going on one dimension here, and I'm going to line that up. Now what I'd like to do is I want to make sure that this is going to make a closed path. So I'm going to zoom up on this so you can see, and with the direct select tool where I can select individual paths or points, I'm going to click and drag a marquee selection that's like a box over those 2 points. Then I'm going to go to Object, Path, and I'm going to average those 2 points to make sure that they're on top of each other exactly. So I'm going to say on both axes, just like that. Then I'm going to do Command J or Path Join. That's easy to remember because join starts with J. So if I do Command J, that joined those 2 points together. Do the same thing down here. You can go Object, Path, Average, and then an Object, Path, Join. Again, the quick key is Command J. Now this is one object. It's a closed path. I could fill it with black. All I did was I hit the swap, fill, and stroke. And this might not be perfect looking, but for our purposes, it's okay. I think I can lower those points down just a little bit. Alright, So now that I have this one object here, I want to make sure before I copy it and rotate it that I put a stroke on the outside. See how there's a little bit of white on the side? It's a little bit hard to see. So I'm going to go to my stroke panel, and I'm going to put like maybe a 3 or 4 point, I think it's got to be bigger than that, maybe a 10-point stroke. And I'm going to make that stroke white. You can either double click here to make it white. You could also go up to your contextual menu up here, and I can click white. You'll notice there's some spikes coming out here. So I'm going to go into my stroke panel. I'm going to round the corners, and I'm going to push that stroke to the outside of my shape. So I'm going to go, I want a line stroke to the outside. Okay, that looks pretty decent. At this point, I'm going to get my black arrow, select the entire thing. Now I'm going to go back to where my reflect tool was and locate my rotate tool. The rotate tool works like this. If you see this little object in the middle here, it's kind of like a bluish greenish color. That shows your rotation center. We want to change the rotation center to the middle of this. So I'm going to click here. Now as I move my object, see how it rotates around that middle? And if I add the Option key, it makes a copy of that. And another quick key, if you do Command D, that will duplicate my last action. So right there, pretty quickly, I made those shapes and copied them around. Alright, the last step for this, we went to the Reflect tool, Rotate tool, Pen tool. On my Layers panel, I want to put this circle. Now, I've had students in the past pen tool these shapes. However, this is really just a circle that's layered underneath these shapes. So I'm going to click on my template, and I'm going to click Create New Layer. So now my new layer is right in between these two. I can even lock that top layer. With my Ellipse tool, I'm going to click right in the middle, right there. And if I just start drawing, you have some ellipses. If you add the Shift key, it'll make it a perfect circle. And if you have the Option key, it will draw from the middle. So this is exactly what we want to do. We want to hold Shift and Option, draw from the middle. Now I'm going to take off the fill. I'm going to change that stroke to black. And I'm going to go back to my stroke panel and make it a lot wider. And I'm going to align it to the middle of that stroke since I did that. So I'm going to take this, let's say 30. And then if we hide that template layer, we're all done. And then all you have to do is put your name on it, print it out, and you're good. My name is Lorem Ipsum. This is interesting. It automatically puts in placeholder text for you. So there we go. I can hit Command P. My name's on it. I'm going to print it to the black and white printer. And thanks for watching.